Yo, what's happening with you? Hope all is well. Just in this little J I got here. But something came to my mind. I try to stay with my ear to the ground and know what's happening out there. And it's like I'm seeing so many stories that have a common theme. And that theme seems to be like war on women all of a sudden. At first, I ain't paying no attention to it because it started when I seen, Lizzo. She said that she was being attacked online. And I'm like, dang, she kind of a controversial figure. So, but even though I felt like she should be protected because, you never know what somebody's going through mentally. So when they get bombarded by attacks, you know, we live in an era where people don't really have the outlets, or they don't seek them at least. I know I don't, to get mental help. And it's depressing when we go online, you see all these positive posts, people enjoying their life and stuff, and we going through things mentally. So hope Lizzo gets the help that she needs, or gets the break that she needs. I think that she's in the light, and that kind of makes it hard as well. I suck at this. But on another type of news, I've been watching the actual stories and news, and they showed a woman, 70-year-old woman, was murdered. It's like, dang, that's crazy. And it was like, maybe that was random, because she was sitting there talking to her son-in-law, I think. And somebody ran up and shot her. She tried to pull off, and they gunned her down, and fortunately, rest in peace, she didn't make it. But it was like another story where a lady, she was kidnapped at her house, and they found her in front of her house. She was kidnapped, and I think they found her later. Her body was tampered with, or they had their way with her, rest in peace, and then they killed her. So she was coming home from work, and she worked at I'm just trying to run all these stories back in my mind. I should have wrote them down. I think she worked at a bar or something like that, where they're saying that she might have even been followed home. So it's like, dang, she was vulnerable. She was trying to get some money, and somebody who she might have known, maybe didn't know, they caught up with her and killed her. They attacked her and killed her in front of her home, like the safest place. If you think that's crazy, another lady, rest in peace to her as well, was shot 50 times. 50 times. Or they opened fire at least 50 times. I don't know if she was hit 50 times, but 50 rounds in front of her home as well. I think she was getting out of her car in her garage. She came home from a gentleman's club where she worked at. So it's like people, they're targeting women now. At first it was a code where, women and children, they exempt from whatever's going on. But a 7-year-old girl was killed. Her cousin was shot. Every weekend I hear about little kids getting killed. Stray bullets, or retaliation for something that their parents did, or they just happen to be on the corner when somebody comes by and lights it up. We gotta do better at protecting our women and our kids. We do, and it starts with what these kids take in, what they listening to, what they watching, the kind of things that they absorbing. Because those kids turn into teenagers, and those teenagers, teenagers make rash decisions that don't make sense. Think about when you was a teenager, if you're not a teenager, or if you're about to become a teenager. Tread lightly and carefully, because it's a hectic time. And I'm just glad that, times were different when I was growing up. We were able to make these mistakes, and they weren't broadcast all over the world. Everybody didn't have their eyes on things that I was doing when I was experimenting and finding my way. And I was like, nah, I'll never do that again. There's a lot of days I was like, God, if you just make sure that nobody catch me on this one, you don't gotta worry about this ever happening again. And for real, like, I pretty much held to that. Sometimes I go back and I dabble again, and but I knew that, man, the things that I was doing was destroying me or destroying my odds of being a productive citizen or even being free in the world, or being alive, or having, having a lifestyle where I can live comfortably. Now I can take my kids, we can go to the mall, we can go to the store, we have a good time. I see people, I wave at them, they know me from being around in the area and stuff like that. Even if they don't know my name, they know my face, and they know, the persona that I portray. But it's like, damn, what if I would have chose another route? So, at a time, like, shit, maybe I'll be a big time drug dealer, a gangster, or a stick up kid, or you know what I'm saying? But all of those paths that I may have taken, I don't think I'd have been able to walk the streets with a free conscience. You know what I mean? You hear about people being out with their kids, and somebody coming and they shooting at the car, not knowing the baby's in the back seat. So we're responsible when we put these images up and we make this music to show it all. You know what I'm saying? Show it all. Show that, you know what I mean? It's all good to do the drugs, but know that when you addicted and you have kids, that they're affected. You taking their money out of their mouth, out of, you know what I'm saying? What they need for school, what they need as far as clothes, what they need is entertainment. Kids need all these kind of things to grow up and be healthy. But when we have our mind set on being in a culture that drugs and alcohol is just part of it, violence is just a part of it, then it makes it so that these kids can't grow up and fully bloom and be who they're supposed to be, because they ain't getting the guidance from the generation before them. Because if I had the mindset that I had in my early 20s still now, and I don't know what changed it, I just looked myself in the mirror and was like, dog, you ain't supposed to be out here looking like this. You ain't supposed to be nodding off. You ain't supposed to be out here geeking and, you know what I'm saying, waking up in the morning and the first thing you think about is drugs and not your children. That ain't supposed to be you. But now that I think clearly, I can see what led me astray. And what it was is just the negative influences. Got too many of them. So a lot of times when we hear these stories about somebody doing this and some crazy ass crime, it's somebody who is probably influenced by something they listened to or something that they heard, because every time you see them on the news, they always look like they fit the description. Before you even could see the person, it's like, yeah, I know what this person looks like. Or you see the person, it's like, man, I know about 5 of them. So they all falling in the same category. It's like it's a factory of niggas being built right now that they ain't got no code. Like, they coming down the assembly line with no fucking code at all. They don't have no logic or anything. Like, if this happens, then do this, or nah. Nigga, they do what the fuck they want to do. But no, I'm high, I'm rambling on. So we need to protect the babies and protect the women. Pop was so right. You already know. You gotta focus on what's important, the task at hand, and that's a growth for a better tomorrow for this youth. Y'all stay up and stay blessed.